Good evening, everyone. Welcome to March 2026 Easton Historic Commission meeting. First off, Wayne, if you could give us a Zoom instructions, please.
Absolutely. All right, this meeting will be conducted remotely with Zoom. Attendance by board and commission members will be remote attendance. The meeting may be broadcast live.
It would be more effective if you spoke into the microphone or something that we could hear you actually.
Can you not hear me?
Now we can, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, how strange. Sorry about that. All right, the meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board and commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count toward quorum. The meeting may be broadcast live and will be recorded on ECAT. To use Zoom, folks need to use the link that's in the posted agenda. We try to keep meetings as close to in-person procedures as possible. When board members or commissioners and applicants will be on video and audio, public participants will join the webinars as an attendee. And so they're muted with no video feed. And during the public testimony portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using the raise hand function found under participants from Zoom, or make a request with the Q&A function. And then the chair can recognize you to accept your comment. Business items will be handled as close as we can to the times indicated on the agenda. And board members are asked to announce themselves when making a motion and a second, so it's clear to the audience and minute takers who made the motions. And this is important, all votes do need to be by roll call. And then we, of course, would vote to adjourn the meeting at the end. So those are the instructions.
Thank you. First business is to promote Commissioner Bishop to a voting member, as Commissioner Marsh is not here tonight.
I'd like to move that.
Second.
Early, aye.
Ventresco, aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Okay, thank you all. Next up are the minutes from March 11th meeting, I believe it was.
We also do need to do a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Hurley here.
Ventresco here.
Hands here.
Spencer here.
Bishop here.
Thanks.
Minutes from the previous meeting have been sent. Everyone had a chance to read them. Any additions, deletions?
I think they look great, unless
Correct.
somebody else does.
Okay.
I'd like to move those also.
I'll second
Yep.
it.
Motion and second. Hurley, aye.
Ventresco, aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Thank you. And next, I believe on the agenda is Children's Museum. Am I correct?
Yep, that's a public hearing, so
Yep.
that has to be opened with the public hearing notice read into the minutes.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Oh, okay. Would someone open the public hearing?
So I might as, do you want me to?
Yeah, just open it, John. We just never make that move.
So I'd like to open the public meeting, bring it to order, and at the same time read the public hearing notice and put it into our record.
Okay, Ventresco open the public hearing. Thank you. Let me see. The Easton Historical Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 19, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. to be held remotely to consider an Ames Local Historic District Certificate of Appropriateness application for exterior restoration of the Children's Museum in Easton at 9 Sullivan Avenue in Easton. This hearing is being held in accordance with the Local Historic District Bylaw, Chapter 152 of the Code of the Town of Easton. The virtual meeting link will be contained within the Historical Commission agenda posted on the town website at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. That's from the Easton Historical Commission, and it was posted by the clerk's office March 4th at 4:06 p.m.
Thank you.
Great.
At this point, I'd like to turn this over to Vice Chair Commissioner Ventresco. Go ahead, John, please.
Okay, thank you, Tim. If we can have our applicants introduced into the meeting.
All right, let me promote Ms. Santoro. And there we go. And then I also see Greg Strange. All right.
Okay, for those in the public that were not aware of what this project is, this is the 1904 fire station that is now our illustrious Children's Museum that was built in 1904 in our local historic district. And we have our project executive director, Christine Santoro here. Welcome, Christine. And if you could, and we actually have coming up, I'm sure, the architect for the project, Greg Strange. And if you could give us a little description, Christine, of the application at hand, please.
Okay. Just wait for, I was going to let Greg start the meeting, but our application.
Could I have a point of information here? What's this hearing about?
Okay, so this
It's
is
for
an
a certificate of appropriateness, and we should
correct.
maybe explain to the general
Yes.
public what that is.
So a certificate of appropriateness is is approval by the Historical Commission for exterior work to a building in a local historic district. The Children's Museum at 9 Sullivan Avenue, built in 1904 as the fire station, is in the Ames Local Historic District. It's also subject to a preservation restriction. And so when exterior work is proposed on a building in a local historic district, it has to come to the Historical Commission as part of the Historical Commission's regulatory review responsibilities to review the proposed work and issue or not a certificate of appropriateness for that proposed work.
Thank you.
Wayne. So there are 10 items that are on this application for the project. Is that correct? Greg? Oh,
Muted. You're muted.
There. Christine, I thought you were going to open. Did I misunderstand?
I can. John, you're asking about 10 items?
there's 10 different sections to the application, correct? As far as the roof, the doors, the windows, siding, so forth and so forth.
That's correct. I mean, do you want me to go just list them all? Is that what
If you can, and just give us a little brief discussion with it for the public that is not aware of what's going on, that would be great.
Christian, you want me to do that part?
Sure.
Okay. Just give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm trying to.
No worries.
There we go. Okay. So John, I think you're right. Yeah, 10 items. Okay. Excuse me. So item number one, I'll go quickly through these since we've talked about them before, and then we can just circle back. So
And
item
just
number
so you know, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, if anybody wants to go into more of a detail, they can actually revert back to our meeting last week, which was
right.
great.
You guys always tell me I talk too much, so I'm going to try to be, pithy and concise.
I never said that, but I might tonight, so watch out.
No, yeah, I'm going to be very quiet tonight. So anyways, item number one is to remove and replace any damaged clapboards and exterior trim. Anybody that's familiar, there's some, it's exactly what it says. There's some damaged clapboards, a couple rotted clapboards, and some damaged trim that has checked or cracked over time, trim that's been rotted. So and that includes exterior gutters that need to be repaired. So that's all in that item. Item number two, remove and replace the existing asphalt and wood roof. As we know, the majority of the roof, 89% of it is asphalt shingles, probably 25 or 30 years old. And then there's a small section at the base of the tower, that is wood roof. We take all those off, redo the flashings, and put in a new architectural 40-year shingle with all the appropriate flashings, sub base and underlayment. Excuse me. The front house, I call them the tall firehouse door restoration. We discussed the two overhead doors that right now aren't original to the building. Between buildings, between pictures that we have found from the original doors and the entrance door under the front porch, which is original and was the same profile of the doors, we're going to remove the doors. We're actually going to build a wall so it can be insulated. And it'll look like it's the original doors, but it'll just be a wall. It'll be made out of mahogany and a little bit of composite material, painted to whatever color the museum selects. And then on the inside, it'll just be finished with plaster and trim. But the interior is not eligible and is not part of the CPA funding request. Fifth item, exterior door replacement. So there's a total of 4 exterior doors, excluding the overhead doors. So the front entrance one we'll talk about in a second. The 3 other door on the basement level facing the town parking lot, there's a modern patio door, kind of less quality. On the first floor on the right-hand side facing the Main Street direction, there's I believe it's not an original door, it's close to it, but it's a rotted wood door that we're going to replace. And on the second floor at the top of the emergency egress stairs, there's a modern door. So those 3 doors are all going to be removed and replaced with a Therma-Tru Smooth Star door. And what that means, it's a steel insulated door, but Smooth Star is known. It was made for historical projects. It has a very, as you saw, perhaps saw in the papers that we submitted, it has a very distinct and detailed pattern to the design. It has a fiberglass skin over it with a little bit of a wood grain, so that when you paint it, it looks like an old wood door that's in good shape. Existing front porch door restoration. That's where that original door I talked about, which is blue right now, you enter on the side. There is decking that's all rotted. There's some framing members that are rotted. We're going to pull up the floor, pull up the framing, redo the framing as needed, put down Douglas fir decking, which would have been true to the period at the time. And there's a nice little bench, which kind of assume is original. It's just kind of cute and quaint. It's hidden behind the half wall, so we're going to restore that and keep that as well, because it's just a nice little detail. And seeing that this is now a children's play space, makes sense, right? Existing front porch entry door restoration, as I went on in detail last year. Turns out that's an original door, so we are going to take it out. We're going to put in a temporary, just a steel insulated door that's good with security for a couple of months while the door goes out to a specialist where it'll be stripped down. Any damage will be done, taken back to its original mahogany. We will put in period correct matching trim on the exterior. We'll actually have it, other than the door, we're getting rid of everything else because it's all beat up. We'll put in a new oak threshold. We'll put in a new exterior casing, and then the felt and galvanized weather stripping detail. So it'll act like a nice new door. And we'll be putting in a nice, trying to blow up. I have a specialist working on the photo. I'd love to see what the first doorknob looked like so we could put it in. It's certainly not the brushed aluminum one that's there now, but so we're working on that. Excuse me, replace 28 existing windows. So the majority of the windows in this building are a double hung. They're original to the building, I believe, as I stated in our original meeting in November of 24. They are a 9/1 double hung. They're the original windows, so they are single pane glass, and like all windows of that period, the sash ropes and the weights, the steel weights that are in there and the wood, the wood's all has shrunken, it's cracked, it's moved. So and then it's covered with, probably sometime in the last 60 years, my research, I couldn't find out when they went in. It's covered with kind of a low end white aluminum storm window. So as we had presented here a couple of times, we would like to, we're going to keep the exterior trim. We're going to keep the interior trim. We're going to get rid of the storm window and just the two sashes, the windows that, think of the glass and the material, the wood, or what we're proposing is the Fibrex that goes around them, and then just the guts, if you will, so that these windows can open, close, tilt, they can be easily maintained. They'll be much safer for the users, and employees of this building. And the one thing that I like to is it'll look this is the closest, this is the best way to get this building to look like what it did 120 years ago. You will, what good is it to have all this detail on the windows if you cover them with a cheesy storm window? So that's our game plan for that. What we are not, that there's two circle top windows. One's on the front, or not circle, I should say semicircular. One's on the front facing Sullivan Ave, and one is on the left side of halfway up the tower. Those are going to be restored, putties taken out and replaced. And then there are 3 or 4 sort of modern basement windows on the lower level, which are fine. So we're just leaving those. So that's why I think total is 32 windows in the place. That's why you see a list of 28. Exterior painting, just like it sounds. Go in, get rid of any loose flaking paint. Any of the new wood and clapboards that we put up, as I put in the specs, will be factory primed anyways, but we'll go through and any puttying and caulking and paint, anything that needs to be done to tighten up the existing siding will be done. It will then receive a coat of 1 or 2 coats of primer, just depending on the condition, and then 3 coats of exterior paint and the color selected by the library. Repair the front entry porch. I kind of jumped ahead. I think I talked about I already talked about that. I don't know why I took it on that way. And then the second floor emergency egress. On the right side of the building, there is a pressure treated, undersized staircase. It's sort of an L-shaped staircase, 2 landings and two flights. We're going to take that down. We're going to put in properly sized members, i.e. 6x6 posts with cross members, as opposed to a 4x4 that's up there. And the floor framing and the stringer framing will be pressure treated 2x12. The decking we would put on an AZAC permanent decking, so it could be maintenance free. And then as the specifications that we submitted, we'd also be putting in a TimberTech pre-finished railing system. So where the railing are, there'll be 4x4 posts at the corners and at the intermittent parts. Those will be wrapped in a permanently finished white sleeve, if you will. And then the railings, top railing, bottom railings, post caps, and balusters. The balusters will be 2x2 square. The very, I said colonial last week. It has some slight OG to it. It's just to, it's a fire egress or an emergency egress. We don't want it to be the highlight of the building. So we're going to put it in pre-finished white, since the trim of the building is white. And it'll just, it'll look nicer than, the stained pressure treated wood that's all warped and undersized. And that's everything in terms of that.
Great. Thank you, Greg. As always, you articulated that. Great. Before I ask the commissioners to their thoughts on this, do we want to, if we have anybody in the wait room from the public that might want to add to this, what their comments might be, or for or against anything that might be on the application, or do we want to go to the commissioners for their response first?
Commonly, for public hearings, the commission members will offer their comments or reaction, and then they'll accept public comments and ask the folks who want to make a comment, who are in the waiting room, to raise their hand, so that
Okay, we go that route then. We'll go from the top and then come down. So, Bob, do you have any comments?
My only concern is the windows. I had spoke last week asking for a little better description or assessment of saving storm windows. As everybody knows, 56 Main Street put in a storm window on an original window. The detailing on the original window shows very nicely, and the window they put up is very nice. So I'd like to see that option explored rather than a replacement, but we have to do what we have to do. Thank you.
Amy?
Curious, Windows related as well. if we know for sure how many are original and how many are not. Because I looked back, I know there was a point of contention at the last meeting where we talked about the meeting from December 2024, when everything we had all seemed to agree on what was proposed, including the windows, replacing them. But I went back and looked at the minutes, and in those minutes it said that Mr. Strange confirmed for Mr. Hurley that the windows are not original to the building. So I think we all
Can I
went
jump in
on
here
that
for a
and said,
second?
what's
As I
that?
mentioned at last week's
Wait a
meeting.
minute, Greg. Let me
Oh,
just
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
let Amy finish, and then we can respond.
Yeah, I just was confused then because I'm like, are original or most of them original or are they not? Because I think back then, I know that Christine had said, well, everyone said it was fine to replace them. So I get why you were upset about that. But then I looked back and said, oh, well, we were told they weren't original. So I think that's why we all said, well, yes, then replacing them is fine. But now the thought is that a lot of them are original. So in that case, at least in my view, it changes it a little bit because I think restoring them would be nice if possible for various reasons.
Okay, Greg, if you can respond to Amy, please.
Sure. And I had asked the board, but I'm sure you're all busy, don't have time to go back and watch the tape of 24. Because in that meeting, as Miss Santoro, sorry, was presenting, Chairman Hurley asked her if the windows were original. She responded, no, they're not. And he said, are you sure? She said, yes. And as I mentioned last week, I am a designer and a builder. I've worked on many historic projects, many in this town. 5 of my clients have received awards from this board for the work that we did. But I digress. When my turn came to speak, I was in an awkward position because I'm a consultant for the museum, but I had to correct the record. So I went and I said about 10 minutes later that I believe most of the windows are original. And then later on, so that's wrong in the record. The minutes are incorrect. It states that Greg Strange stated the windows are original. I never did. I can play, and I couldn't find it last week, but I have it here in a folder. If you want, I can play it for you. And then at the end of the meeting, and that night I don't believe we had any discussion on the windows. I gave my presentation. I don't think there's any question. We talked mostly about the roof, and then the board segued right into making a motion, and the motion was summarized by Mr. Beitler when he said, okay, so, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I have that rolled ready to go too. It said that it talked about replacing the window. It said, these items, replacement windows, with the caveat that, and I think both him and Chairman Tim Hurley said it, that with the caveat that obviously during the permitting portion, we would come back for the certificate of appropriateness. And that motion passed unanimously, went on to CPA where it passed unanimously, went on to the Town of Easton where the residents passed it unanimously. Would you like me to play any of those videos?
Nope, that's perfect.
Okay. It's a good summary.
Yeah, great. Ed, if you can, willing to add anything to this?
Well, it seemed last week that there was a lot of discussion about whether we could actually finance changes to the windows. But listening to Greg, who just walked out of the scene, there he's back, that you guys are proposing and we're accepting several doors that are modern replacement kind of doors. So before we get all twisted up with the windows, just remember that not 100% of what you're approving is historical. Now, last week I asked I asked him to give us some, Greg, to give us some pictures that show what are proposed as the replacement windows and what are historic there. I'm hoping he has that. I also said that I would do some research about wiggle room, and I do have to say that our federal government has not covered itself in glory being consistent, because there's a long, oh, you must have original windows, and there's a really good section that John provided for us that lists reasons for that. But there's also another thing on sustainability, which talks about environmental concerns and safety. So I think we do have some wiggle room there as well. So what I would like to do now is, if I could see some pictures, that would be swell. And then I have some other questions.
Can I do two things?
Sure.
Because you also last week, I did my homework for you. And I sent you the pictures. Well, I'll call that up in a second. But remember, you asked me what the town of Easton had done. Had we ever funded replacing windows through CPA? And I don't know if you asked or not, but I did some research and I found a number of communities in the Commonwealth that have. So just real quickly, so Town of Easton has funded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I didn't mean to count out loud on purpose. On 13. Well over 20, I think 28 historic projects through CPA. Of those, there's been 3 dealing with windows, but they were on the town hall, they're on Oaks Ames, and they're on the library. Town hall, I actually pushed not to go with the original, but that's a story for another day. But I think we would all agree that certainly the hall and the library, you'd have to, those are world famous pieces of architecture. Of course, those would have to stay. You're not going to get be able to replace that, unless you completely rebuilt it. And there they did a combination. They have some interior storms, they have some exterior storms, and they may even have some windows that don't have storms. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to get in there. But anyway, so that's Easton. In terms of Massachusetts, and I know the list is longer, but in the sense, so key examples of CPA funded window replacement projects. The old corner bookstore in Boston, where that, right around that famous place where Franklin used to hang out, that church. Menotomy Manor in Arlington, Commander's Mansion in Watertown, Bonnie House in Hanson, Town Hall replacement window study in Mendon. I don't know if they funded a study. I don't know if they ever got around to the windows. I just ran out of time.
I think, I'm sorry.
Breezy Way Housing in Mashpee, Lexington Avenue Firehouse in Boston, Memorial Library in Rockland, Rowley Town Hall window replacement. Replaced 3 windows at the historic town hall. I didn't. Oh, in Longmeadow. Okay, so those are some right there. And I thought this really summed it up well. Don't forget, Ed, you and I and Tim, we authored the expansion of the Ames Historical District. Prior to that, before I was on the Historical Commission, before my 12 years on it, I was asked by the administration, Mr. Colton at the time, if I would participate, become a member of the, whatever it was called, the Local Historic District Study Commission, or whatever, whatever the group was called. So I was on that. So through that, and as you know, all the years that I was on CPA for, I think, 16 years, I was on historical for 12 years. Many times we were referred to Department of Interior standards, and which I knew a little bit from working, and as it kept coming up, I dug in. But they are just that. They're just standards. And in fairness to Mr. Beitler, I know he sent the board out sort of an addendum or a pamphlet last week. That's not the full Department of Interior standards, but that's fine. But if you look at it, that was titled Sustainability and Preservation. So the entire purpose of that document was to obviously be biased towards that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's just what it was. But when you read that, it gave some different scenarios if you're able to, and it would bring up, in each scenario, it would say recommended, what you could, and then not recommended, okay? And on some of those you could replace windows, some you couldn't. But that's not a law. That just says recommended or not recommended. And I think this list that we just described, that I went through, it's up to the communities to make up their mind. And I would point out that our local historic district, we also have these design guidelines for the local historic district, which are on your website. So I don't know, it's blurry, sorry. But in that, it talks about, the local historic district, and you must use wood, or it's highly recommended, it says. And highly recommended you don't change windows. But look at I pointed out several buildings last week, all in the local historic district, they all administered by the local historic district committee. And they all had modern divided light windows, and many of them had cement siding. When we presented back in November of 24, we weren't trying to sneak anything in. We gave a long dissertation. I think I took 42 minutes, but it was packed full of good tidbits, I thought. And and you guys, you all got on board. And I don't really dig how things evolve since then, but that's something for lawyers. I'm not going to get into that. But I will say this: that site walks. All right, when I was the chair of the planning board, we probably had, I bet you we did 25 site walks a year. And at the beginning, I was always forced to read this thing that basically said, this is not a public hearing. We're not taking minutes. We're not deliberating. This is for informational purpose. You either stay silent or you can ask questions. You don't give opinions. You don't give suggestions. Now, I wasn't at that site walk that happened at this building, but it seems like maybe that wasn't followed. And that's just not fair. And if I'm wrong with that, then I'm getting the wrong info. But anyways, all I know is when we left here in November of 24, this committee voted unanimously for the windows. And I've watched the damn tape like 3 times now. Nobody was even close to opposing them. And that doesn't mean you can't change your mind, but boy, this is at the 11th hour. And then this is tight, because if this board says no, well, think about it. CPA has already approved this. I don't think this board has the right to override CPA on funding. Ed, you'd probably know that as the chair better. But then more importantly, the citizens of the town voted to support this. So I remember we were always very strict. You can't, when someone would come in and they wanted to change something after it had been voted out of the town, we're like, no, you have to do what was voted on, or you can always circle back. So anyways, and so this, as I was going through looking for the CPA, this is on the Town of Wenham's website. And it was on their community, and it's titled, here we go. It's called Community Preservation Act Questions and Answers. Now, this was produced just by Wenham. I'm not saying, but I just thought this was interesting. So here's a question. At our historic town hall, we are planning to install insulated glass windows that will have dividers between the 2 panes of glass to replicate the paned windows we now have. But the panes will actually be one large single pane of glass. I wanted to make sure that replacing the windows with new windows that are not exactly like the old ones will be okay. The answer from the town, and again, this is just from Wenham, but it's what you propose would be fine. Under rehabilitation and historic resources and allowed use of CPA funds, you may remodel, reconstruct, and or make repairs to historic resources to make such resources functional for their intended use, or to make them comply with ADA or other federal, state, local, or built access codes. So I'd just go back, and I'll end with, when Christine first brought me to this project and asked me what I thought about the windows, I said, they're just double hung windows. I get that they're original to the building, but you can't see them from the outside. And on the inside, this board doesn't have a say in it. Not that that matters. I'm not, but it just, and the building now, it's not a firehouse. And I guarantee you, where that was a firehouse, how much of that glass in the bottom do you think is even original? Hoses whipping around, tight squeeze, getting the horse in back in the day. And the windows, they're very hard to open. I talked about this last week, and we have to think about, what if there's an emergency in the building, a mass shooter or a fire? Don't you want those windows to be, and then right now, because the glass is so large and single pane and not safety glass, it breaks easy. We know what happens when big old glass breaks in big shards. So, and this building is filled with kids that run around. So that's what, the boards go across, which, boy, if I was the museum's insurance company, I wouldn't like that, because that's even harder to get out of. So, I thought in this case, and then I talked about the Shovel Works, all the awards that got, that's on the National Register of Historic Places, and they were allowed to do exactly what we want. And when you we'll look at these windows in a second, the pictures, and just keep in mind that
Oh, good.
everything,
That's-
just the parts going up and
15
down.
minutes ago, that's what
All
I
right.
asked for.
All right, so give me, if you want to talk for a second, I gotta pull this up, so give me a second. Because your big face is filling my screen, Ed. Let me,
Well, this is
okay.
well, this is coming along. Let me ask my other question, and that is one of the handouts that John provided for us talked about the cost savings of replacement windows versus well repaired original windows. And the argument from the historical community is always that the originals are just as good and just as effective. Most of that information seems to come from the olden days when Greg Gaylor was around, and I'm wondering whether anything has changed in the construction industry that would make replacement windows have a longer lifespan or a quicker return on their environmental investment.
So you're asking me?
I'm asking somebody.
Okay, so I'll get. So first of all, the term replacement windows, I think we should try to get away from, because I don't know about you. When I hear replacement windows, I think of the cheap little fiberglass, cheap little vinyl things that people put in. We're putting in very expensive, top of the line Anderson architectural series, and as I described last week, architectural series. That's because the style, or the wood, the sash that goes around the window down the glass itself is proportioned to be accurate to. It's within 3/16 of an inch of the windows that are here. And when you look at these windows, that all you're going to see is the glass and then the part that goes around them. And then the grills. Now, right, the windows that are in there now are single pane, and where the grill, like those top pieces, that's 9 little pieces of glass, but just single pane glass, very cold. The how these are going to get made, the glass goes in, it's one piece, because you want one piece because it's better from a thermal insulating value. And then there's grills permanently, and they're guaranteed for life from Anderson. No, I take it back, for 100 years. But that's life in my books. So they're, on the exterior, they are bonded to the glass. On the interior, it's wood. And then in between, in the glass, with insulating glass is actually 2 layers of glass, because there's an airspace with argon gas for insulation in between. So inside that glass, they're going to put in, it's a shadow bar. And there's a couple, and so what that does too, so from the side, when you stand at these, it looks just like the old windows, where it's not a grill on the outside and a grill on the inside, and then there's air in between. It carries all the way through. And as I mentioned before, Anderson architectural series is used, it's accepted by many well-versed, experienced, just like this, historical commissions, because it's, wood windows, over time, they need a lot of maintenance. And unfortunately, this day and age, look what these windows cost. Look what everything costs. They want things that look old, but will continue to look new, or act new, I should say.
If I could just jump in here.
Sure.
You answered the question looking at the material that John provided for us. It mentioned guarantees that come from these window companies of 20 or 30 years. What you're saying is what you're proposing has a 100-year guarantee. So it's a much stronger guarantee than what we're used to. And I'm still waiting for the pictures.
No, it's hard for me to talk and walk at the same time. So I have the old pictures. Now, I have 18 documents up, so give me just that. So in 2 seconds, I will share my screen. Just before I do that, let me find this one last thing I sent. So this is probably when you only have one monitor. I just need 30 seconds, folks.
Is there any chance that you could shorten that, Mr. Strange, and we can get some opinions from others as well? You've emphasized what you want to do many, many times, and we're just getting repetitive here.
So
sorry, I just thought I was answering questions and what you guys supported.
And I disagree that it's repetitive.
So if you can't come up with it in a minute or two, I'd like to go to Tim, and then we can go back to you.
Yeah, go ahead. Circle back to me. Let me just.
So, Tim, do you have any comments to say?
Nothing.
Okay. So I do have some. gonna give you. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna go into my remarks. You, as you always do, Greg, eloquently gave some great examples of historical properties in certain areas, potentially in historical districts, if I recall, that did have replacement windows. If I had the time on my end, and that's no excuse, but I can mention several areas that are just the opposite. And that could be the city of Cambridge, where we can talk about downtown Newport and the historical sections, where they are just the opposite and they do not put into replacement windows. So I do see your point, and it's taken. I don't know. For all I know, they could have, a lot of those properties could have been termite ridden and they could have been dust. So I don't want to get into that, but I will do my closing, I don't want to say closing remarks, but my remarks, and then we can open it up to the public. First, I'd like to mention that the Children's Museum, since its founding 40 years ago, has been an integral part of our downtown village community, not just historically, but especially for the many families who take their children to the museum, not only in Easton, as we all know, but the surrounding towns who enjoy it. I've never heard anything bad. It's always been phenomenal. In surrounding towns who enjoy the museum has to offer. I applaud your mission. Always have, always. I've been in town for 40 years, and it's pretty much when the museum started with Paula Peterson and three other women at that time. It's a success story beyond imagination. With that said, I understand the Children's Museum's position to replace the historic windows. I truly do. in the local historic district. But retaining and repairing historic windows, even with deterioration, is the recommended preference. And again, I specify preference. And that is, what is not recommended is to remove the repairable historic windows and replacing them with new insulated windows for a perceived improvement in energy performance, according to the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and for Historic Windows, which has been updated from 1995 to 2017. So what I am quoting here from the standards is fairly new. The standards state many, many practical reasons why repairing and restoring windows should be the first plan of consideration, as it's more economical and environmentally friendly in the very long run. As an example, many windows in the early 1900s are likely made of old growth wood and far better stable than, say, a product of today's vinyl, which we know is not what we're talking about, or composite windows. Properly restored windows can last at least another 100 years, while replacement windows on average start to fail at approximately 25 years. It's important to note also the infiltration of air rather than heat loss through glass is the principal account of 50% of the total loss within that structure. Saving energy through energy efficient windows might seem common sense. It does to me. But many today, as I've learned, are comparing the cost replacement of these windows, and in this case, the stated amount, to how long it would take to recoup that in energy versus keeping the original windows, even at what it might cost to be restored. According to the Community Preservation Coalition, they are very often asked, what do we do about these old windows? Do we replace them? Or often asked, do we repair them? The coalition refers back to the Secretary of Interior Standards, paragraph number 6, that deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced almost always. Historic preservation is defined as the act or a process of applying certain measures necessary to maintain the existing form, that the historical integrity, and that the materials of that said property. While I understand and I stress that the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Restoration is a guide, and I understand that, it is a recommendation for historical commissions and CPA projects, and it is our resource. That's why CPC pays $2,500 a year to have that guidance. Also, as a volunteer member of this board, appointed by the select board, in our duty to use this guidance as best judgment to ensure the preservation and protection, when at all possible, the distinct special features within the exterior of the said property. While we can talk and it can have many interpretations, guidelines, and recommendations, these interpretations, again, with Historic Windows Inc., we appreciate that. With that said, I must rely on the Secretary of Interior standards for the rehabilitation and restoration, combined with the Community Preservation Coalition for my personal decision. As I see it, we've been here to protect Easton's abundant, rich historical integrity, which we are all very proud of for obviously many generations to come. Again, it can be seen, and we could go on with this over and over. I feel strongly myself personally about the windows. I know there's discussion about verbiage and video. There has been some difference of opinions on clarity. I understand that. And even if we are wrong or you're wrong, I'm right, whatever the decision, we are at a new stage. I hope everyone can understand that, and I hope we can get through it. And with that said, if anybody, Greg, you wanted to show the windows, if you've got them up or if you think it's necessary.
I think it's necessary, and I requested it.
Yes, thank you, Ed.
Okay. So.
And I think you can just unilaterally choose share screen, Greg, since you're a participant.
Oh, I haven't shared my screen, have I? Yeah. Give me a second here. All right, share screen. Where is share screen this week? You ever noticed that they always move it up?
Yeah, they always move it.
Why can't I find it? It's usually at the bottom. Forgive me. It's usually green at the bottom. Okay, this is odd. Is there a tab I can do?
So the tab at the bottom keeps disappearing, so I think you have to move your cursor there.
Yeah, it's on the bottom row in my screen.
Yeah, it's always on the bottom line, but it's not here right now.
Raise hand.
Let me just. Raise hand.
It says next to raise hand.
Yeah, right. But okay. There we go. And now it's a new. All right, here we go. Share screen. All right. Did it work?
It did.
Okay. So, let me show you. I'm going to show you the reason. So here's the existing windows inside now. The problem is it's really difficult to see any detail of the exterior windows through the glass. So I'm just going to refer to this interior one. So unfortunately, my health right now doesn't allow me the time or the ability to get 8 feet up on a ladder and try to open these storm windows. So what I'm talking about with the windows, okay? I think in terms of interior, there's two important things. I keep talking about the sash. So the sash, okay, so this is casing. If you can see my cursor on the outside. So this is the casing. This is a windowsill. I'm sure you all know that. So the sash, here's the glass. The sash is the wood, basically the frame, if you will, that goes immediately around the glass. So what we have been proposing the entire time to do was leave this interior trim, leave the exterior trim, repair the exterior trim as needed, pull off those storm windows, fix putty holes. I'm sure there'll be some rot and some damage under those that needs to be repaired. And the only part that will be new will be these sashes and the glass. You would see, and I'll refer to the Anderson diagram in a second. So you would see about a 3/8 inch wide piece of stop trim on the inside and out of the window, which every window has. That will be new. It'll be wood on the inside. It'll be Fibrex on the outside. And then you would have this same pattern, the 9/9, because there's 9 squares. I know you can't see it with this sign, but this is 3x3 grill. So there's 9 panes of glass up here and 1 below. That's why it's called 9/1. So if I jump to the Anderson, excuse me, if I jump to the Anderson, and try to zoom in here yeah. This might not be the page I want. Just zoom out for a second. Okay, oh, this is what I want. So just to show you, so this is a section through the window. If we were all together, I would have brought a sample, brought a window in, but we're not. So this is viewed from the outside. So here's the sash, okay, that I'm talking about. So here's the glass. I don't have the grills. This is what's Fibrex. It's a structural fiberglass to simulate the proportions of the old historic windows. And then this is different. This has exterior casing. We won't have that because we're doing a different application here. But right here, right to the right of the letter E, this jam or this stuff, that will be exposed on the outside. The windows, we can get them pre-finished in whatever color the library wants. Anderson offers, I think, like 30 colors, or they can stay white, or they can even be painted up the road if they want to. And then you can see on the inside, it's going to be all wood. So this gray part, you won't see, that's a nailing flange. And this casing right here won't be on there because we're doing a frameless window to fit into the existing casing, if that makes sense.
But before you move that,
I'm sorry.
Just a quick question. The letter G,
Yep.
that is what kind of material?
All the stuff that you see is white. It's called Fibrex. It's a reinforced fiberglass with an exterior. Basically, it looks like a white or whatever color you pick on these. It looks like a painted finish. And that keeps it, I think John just talked about there's no old growth trees left, right? That's for this to keep it. This is to keep it exterior. Windows age, and in a building like this, don't have a lot of costs for maintenance and stuff, and it can't keep coming back can't come to CPA for maintenance, right? Or can I don't remember. But anyway, so that's why we proposed that. Can I jump just to show you another thing?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make that clear what it was.
So this page, excuse me, and there will be, Christine had, when I sent this to her the other day, said, geez, the pictures you showed these will be 9/1. The grill pattern will be exactly what's there now. These are just showing bunch of options. So you're talking a second ago about the grill. So this shows you right here, this is a section through that sash, if you will. So here's basically what will be exposed outside. Obviously this is a cutaway. And you can see that the grills are permanent on the inside and on the outside, and then there's the energy spacer on the inside. It acts as it helps with thermal performance. I can't really tell you why, but it does. And but more to me, it's more of an aesthetic thing. So if you get up close and you're an aficionado of architecture, you can see it looks like it's a true divided light window, but with thermal pane glass. And then right here at the bottom, these you can get custom grill widths, but this is their standard sort of, I think they call it their colonial version, whatever. So right here, the 7/8 this is within it's the exact depth this way, up and down in this picture, of the grills, and it's within a 1/16 of an inch on the width of what's out there now. Let's see, anything else? That just does a bunch of that's a bunch of finishes, but not really. Well, just while we're here, here's the existing. You didn't ask, but here's the existing fire escape egress, and here's the product we're proposing to use. To me, it's better choice. I think it looks nicer for the building, but anyways, that's that.
So just one more question.
Sure.
The proposed windows that you've shown us have all been sketches. Do you have a picture of the window?
What do you mean sketches? I mean, I'm showing you blow up. No, I mean, I haven't had a window made because we don't.
No, I don't mean you have a window made. Is there an Anderson window picture where they went and took a picture rather than had an architect sketch the picture?
No, yeah, I thought I just showed that to you. Shoot, why did I close them back? Give me a second. I'm sorry, just give me a second, guys.
Yeah, and I apologize to.
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to find where the heck it is.
I don't mean to insert myself inappropriately, but I have these windows in my house, and I'm sitting right next to one. I could turn my camera around. If that's
Yeah,
helpful.
that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Would that satisfy you, sir? Greg?
I'll still find them because I don't know what Tim has in his house.
Wayne,
Are those are, I mean, Wayne, are those architectural series? Wayne, is that architectural series, Anderson?
There we go. Yeah.
I guess he can't hear me.
All right. It looks like a window. Yeah, all right. Thank you, Wayne. That satisfies me in the interest of moving this along.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'll just say one more thing, and then I'm going to be done. And John, I certainly, I respect your opinion and hear what you say. I would just, honestly, I would just say two things to that. I wish those thoughts had come out 16 months ago, because we could have had this conversation then. And name a project in the local historic district that this board has approved anything but new windows. I'm not saying there isn't one, but I can't think of one. And again, everything, I agree with all the reasons. Look, preservationists always want to preserve everything. I like to preserve things. I think I've probably preserved more buildings in this town than just about anybody as a designer and builder, at least anybody in the last 30 years. But, when asked for my opinion 2 years ago, I thought this was the way to go. We presented it, it was passed. I don't know what happened since, but this is, last week was our first public hearing since then. So I guess everybody just changed their mind, and that's fine. But again, it just gives us a bit of I don't know how it works with CPA. CPA's already funded this.
Well,
and the only reason Christine's going back to CPA is because Town Hall, as I understand it, said you feel free to go in for supplementary funding because prices obviously have gone up the way inflation's been.
Right, and let me make clear from CPA's point of view, there's no danger that we're going to pull the funding of the project from CPA's perspective. The issue is getting the certificate of appropriateness, which was not granted in that original finding. So this is your certificate of appropriateness hearing. So it is de novo, I guess you'd say.
you know what I think is interesting? Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Greg. As always, again, I repeat, you articulated that very well. Just something to ponder. The windows that are there now, which can be restored, they've been there for 120 plus years. And it's interesting, we didn't have the technology that we have today. Of course, we'll never be around to prove a point, yay or nay, that these windows will last 120 years. I did a little bit of research on it, not in great depth about the architectural windows. And I found that, again, and as I mentioned earlier, about 25 years, they start to break down, but they can go up to 45 years. And I thought, wow, I would think that with today's technology, they would be guaranteed for 100 years, just like the original windows in the museum. Again, just something to ponder. I thought it was quite interesting to make the comparison.
If I may, I just want to make one comment. John, I don't want you to paint the picture that these windows, because they're old,
I'm not taking it that way either.
They're not perfect. They don't go. I wish we were all there. I wish I had been invited to the site meeting. I wish it had been handled properly. We could have gone through those windows. They don't open. They don't operate. You replace those ropes, they're gonna break in another 9 years. Old windows are not necessarily better windows. I'm all with it. There's no old growth trees.
And I concur to that.
But that's much more important when it comes to structural or finish than it does windows. The amount of wood on those windows is tiny. And they haven't rotted out because they've had aluminum storm windows over them for 60 years and probably 42 coats of paint.
Christine has a question, John.
Yes, Christine, I'm sorry. Yep.
Yes, I know that Greg took down his sharing screen, but I'd like to really point out the interior window that he showed. It has two boards across it. The reason for those two boards across that window is because they're unsafe. They don't meet code. they didn't meet code back in 91 when the museum opened. They don't meet the code now. And even if you restore these windows, they will not meet code. I'm not even sure we can even do it, because of that. This is the opportunity to make this building not only beautiful, but safe. You talk about the building as if it's like, an inanimate, empty object. This building is filled with people every day, most of them really young. And these windows are boarded up because they're not safe. And I really think that the most important thing about a building is not just the building, but how it's used. It's called the Children's Museum. And I've always thought, that's really a misnomer, because museums are places where people usually go to see things, a lot of things that are in cases, and you can't touch them. Well, at our museum, people are touching things, they're experiencing things, they're doing things, they're playing, they're learning, and they're moving around a lot. And that's the reason why those windows are boarded up. So please think about the use of this building. That's what's important here. We have a beautiful old building, and I respect that. I really do. And I do respect, what you're trying to do. But most of this building, even if you replace these windows, will be, close to original. When someone walks up to this building and comes in this building, they're amazed. They're amazed because the building is in good condition. I mean, it's peeling. It needs work. We need to replace the roof because it's leaking. But you really have to consider how the building is used, because that is more important. Who walks in that building? I have children, being carried in that building. I've got kids who take their first steps in that building. And that is what the point you are all missing, it seems. And it's really important. So when you vote on this, you consider that first. That's most important. It's the use of the building. You're doing form of a function. And we have a really important function in this community, and have had since we opened in 1991. That the use hasn't changed. When the town transferred the building to the museum, it was for this purpose. And we've had to board up those windows ever since. There wasn't money to do it before, and I can tell you that in 2011, when it came up, the museum didn't want to restore those windows. They wanted new windows, and it wasn't done. The small amount of money was returned back to, it was never taken from CPA. And so we have the same issue here. You have the opportunity to really make this building, really improve this building. Not only the look of the building with all the great things that are going to be done, but how the building functions. In terms of safety, in terms of, security. If we needed to open those windows, we can't. They don't work. And even after restoring them, they're only going to function partly, because they're going to have to be, the top part is not going to be able to come down or anything like that. So they'll be partially functional. I'm sure they'll look okay, but we're still going to have to put on, storm windows. And, will they leak less? Sure they will. I talked to the gentleman who came and talked to me about restoring the windows, and I don't doubt him, but even he has told me that the glass in the bottom windows, if we don't put the right type of glass in there, you're going to have to board those windows up again. And I'm not even sure that under the present code, whether, thermopane windows will, pass the test, to tell you the truth. So, you restore the windows, You put new storm windows over them, and most likely we're going to have to board up the interior windows. To me, that makes no sense. It's a waste of money, and it's not safe. And I really want you to consider that. The more important thing is the people in the building, and to protect them, and to care for them, and to keep them safe and comfortable.
Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Christina. Did you want to say more?
No, I think I'm done.
Thank you. Anybody else within the
Yeah,
commission?
me, right here.
I'm sorry. I was just looking for the end, not the other end.
Just very quickly, I think the issue of the glass not being safe is a major one, and that's influencing the way I may vote. But as Greg has pointed out a number of times, those boards are on the interior of the building, and we can't mandate anything related to that because it's not within our purview. So please, when you talk about the safety of the windows, think about the safety of the glass. And that's why we may need new glass. And at this point, I'd like to move the question, if that's possible.
Do we want to open this to anybody that's in the wait room? Does anybody, Wayne?
Yeah, I would ask if there's anybody who's in the attendee room. I see Courtney Pupkin, Joan Lundgren, and I believe Fred Ames. And if anyone has a comment, please raise your hand so we can allow you to speak and offer that comment. I'm not seeing any raised hands.
Before you take a vote, there are a couple more things I think I need to point out. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't. I want to point out that, in the late 1980s, when the firehouse, became the Children's Museum, it was probably one of the first old buildings in that area to be revitalized. As I recall, downtown was not very well. I mean, it needed some work. And I think that was one of the first buildings in the area, to take that on. We had 4 mothers from Easton who came together and petitioned the town. It took 4 years to convince the town that it should be a children's museum, and it has been ever since. But once that started, a lot of other revitalization took place. It was the old high school, Northeastern Grammar, all of that was redone. And the downtown area has, really grown and transformed to what it is today. But the firehouse started that. So please keep that in mind. And, when those 4 mothers conceived this idea, the building was abandoned. It hadn't been used in at least 10 years, as I understand it. And it was decaying. And so they brought that to life, and the town helped them, that's for sure. And it has been full of life ever since. So please keep that in mind as well, that the Children's Museum has brought a lot to this town. It will continue to do that. And all that we are asking is that you allow us to put in replica windows that are safe, secure, and comfortable.
Thank you.
I made a motion. Is anyone going to second it, or do we going to have more discussion? Or
I'll second it.
thank you. Is there any discussion?
Just that I believe this would be the appropriate way of doing this. We can vote on all 10 as a complete certificate of appropriateness, or if the windows are still an issue and we want to extend the public hearing to a later date with maybe more discussion it's really up to this commission to do so.
How would
So-
that work, Wayne?
Yeah, I think, so in our regulations, the commission doesn't have to, but they can issue a partial certificate, and then continue items to a certain date, within the next 60 days. In the regulations, for CPC, it would have to be like next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with everyone, currently the voting members, able to attend that meeting. So, you could go through item by item, or maybe, take a straw poll. I'm not sure the exact proper procedure on this one, and I don't want to have any missteps for this group.
Item by item.
Yeah, perhaps it's
Sorry,
item
Ken?
by item, yeah.
So I don't, me personally, I don't mind the item by item. At the same time, I'm looking at the applicant in fairness to them, so they know where they stand, whether or not this is going to go on even further. Just a thought.
Well, we could do it partially one way and vote the certificate of appropriateness to all items except for the windows, and continue that to a date certain. Because I don't think there's any.
Or possibly vote on it tonight. I don't know.
Or possibly vote on it tonight.
What, John?
Or possibly just vote on all 10 tonight.
Yes.
So, so voting tonight, if it would depend on how the vote went, and you could continue, for another week, to see if there's more information.
So I guess, and I think Bob alluded to this last week and maybe at the beginning of this meeting, if the vote was to not have the new windows, then the meeting would still have to be left open, the public meeting, but we don't have anything that we could approve anyway, because we don't have any reports on restoration going forward. Is that correct, Wayne?
I think that is true. So it's, how can you proceed and still preserve options without, and it depends on, perhaps the commission. I don't know how the commission would vote. Obviously, it's, it would be 3-2, on granting a certificate of appropriateness for all the items that were submitted.
I'm wondering if we can give them the partial with the stipulation of a request to answer the one question we all have, and hold a meeting for another week or 2 weeks, whatever they think they need and whatever we're allowed to give them.
Well,
May I ask a question?
yeah,
Yes,
please.
of course.
Yeah, help us with this.
I'm confused by this, because I have the regulation right here in
Yeah.
front of me. This is Local Historic District Rules and Regulations,
Yeah.
Section 508/10G.
Yeah.
The commission may, by majority vote, approve a portion or portions of an application on one date and issue a certificate specifically indicating what portions are applicable. The remainder of the application must be voted within 60 days of the original application date, unless further extended by the applicant in writing. So it's clear that you can do it, and that's what the wording is. And I'm just confused. If you don't vote on something, I'm really confused about what you're trying to do. So
Me personally, I would not want to prolong this again from you as the applicant to, I would like to be able to get this done so that way you can move on.
But again, if you're asking, if you're going to tell us, and I assume it would take a vote to tell us, look, we're not going to approve your replica windows, and I would think that you would then continue that part of it, and if you agreed with everything else, you'd issue a certificate on that, on the remainder. Procedurally, I would think that that's how it would work.
Yeah.
So I'm confused as to what you're proposing.
Yeah, so how do we structure the vote? Do we go through a motion and second, or do we do a motion and second for the numbered items, excluding the windows, and then do a separate vote for that numbered item? Would that make it clear?
I was just trying, this is my motion, so I guess I have to make the change. But I think Tim is absolutely right. We have to vote one at a time.
Okay, so are we making that as a motion to vote?
Yeah,
So if we do that, would it be a motion and a second for item 1, a motion and a second for item 2, a motion and a second item 4, and so forth? Is that what I'm hearing, Ed? Is that how you'd like to handle this?
yeah, I guess that's the way to do it, and I will defer to my second.
Yes, I agree.
So if you can start reading them, Wayne.
All right. So the certificate of appropriateness has a exhibit with numbered items summarizing the proposed work. Item number 1 is remove and replace damaged clapboard and exterior trim.
Early aye.
Well, do we have a motion and a second?
Yeah.
For that one
Yeah,
item?
motion and a second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. So Hans motioned, Bishop seconded for item 1.
Early aye.
Francesco, aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Okay.
I propose, I make a motion that we vote on number 2.
I second it.
All right, number 2 is remove and replace existing asphalt and wood roof. That is Hans and Spencer.
Francesco, aye.
Early aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
I make a motion that we,
We skipped 3 because that was rolled into 2.
oh,
So
okay.
3, yeah.
Number 4 then.
Number 4 is the front firehouse tall doors restoration. That's
Oh,
motion
yeah, that's
Hans.
absolutely. Yes.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Second.
Motion by
John-
Hans, second by
John did it.
Bishop.
Early aye.
Francesco, aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Number 5, so moved.
I'll second it.
That's exterior door replacement for those 3 doors. And that was a motion by Hans, a second by Spencer, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Early aye.
Francesco, aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Okay.
Number 6,
Is existing front porch entry door restoration.
do we have a second on that?
Second.
Aye.
So Hans 1, and the second was Ventresco, I believe, for this one.
Yeah, this time, yep.
Roll call vote.
Early aye.
Francesco, aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Item 7.
Number 7, please.
Okay. Number 7 is replace 28 existing windows. That is a motion by Hans,
I'll second it.
a second by Spencer. Roll call vote on that one.
Early no.
Francesco, no.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, no.
Okay, so that was Hans no, Ventresco no,
No, it would,
Curly no, Ventresco no, Hans yes, Spencer yes, and Bishop no.
right.
Okay. 8 is exterior painting,
So
Motion.
subject to review by the commission, but while we're here,
hands, aye.
Early aye.
Francesco, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Did we have a second on that? We had hands. As well.
Yeah, Bishop.
Okay.
Number 9.
Number
I'll
9
second it.
is the repair the front entry porch.
Amy
Stan
seconded.
motion, Spencer second.
Really,
Roll call. Yeah.
John,
Aye.
hands aye.
Spencer, I.
Bishop, aye.
And then the new second floor emergency egress exit.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, second by Spencer. All right. Roll call vote.
really, I.
John, we have to do this 10 times. And
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Aye.
hands aye.
Spencer, I.
Bishop, aye.
Okay, so we can issue a certificate of appropriateness for items 1, 2, 3 is omitted, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. And then I suppose we would continue the public hearing for further consideration
Well,
of item 7.
don't you have 2 options? And I'm all in favor of continuing, but there was a vote to not issue a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed windows. So there has been a vote. So let's be very specific that we do want to continue this one more week.
Correct.
Okay, so I believe we would need a motion and a second and a vote to continue it to a date certain.
Excuse me, if I don't mean to, but point of order.
Yeah,
Can you
please.
continue
Yeah.
something that's already been voted against? I don't think you can. I
No.
just think you have to do it differently, and I'll be quiet. But I just don't think.
Yeah,
No,
that is the problem. I mean, could we have like a motion to reconsider that vote? Would I think be the way to go? Because if we've voted something, then perhaps we cannot actually continue and revote that. So we may want to have a motion to reconsider, and we could.
We've made a decision.
So just to be clear, so when you're saying that the 9 that were voted on moving forward, we really can't do that?
I think we can issue it for the 9 that were voted. Yes, we can do that.
We can. Okay.
For the windows, the commission has voted them down.
Mhm.
I believe if there's a vote, you can't actually continue the public hearing, but I think this does give clarity on where the commission leans. So we could have a motion to reconsider that vote.
But that's not up to us to issue. That has
If
been
the commission
requested.
would like to continue the public hearing to have further consideration of that item next week.
Yes. Agreed.
So then I believe you would want to have a motion to reconsider that vote and
Motion
perhaps,
to reconsider.
or perhaps abstain it or something. I'm not sure what exactly the language would be on that one. Christine, do you have a
Yeah.
suggestion on this?
Perhaps it would be appropriate, for the motion to reconsider, yes. Given the position that it strikes me that what you're looking for is additional information.
Yes.
For, to learn about restoring the windows. So I think you can
That's exactly what we're looking
reconsider it and ask for additional information, and that gives you a reason to continue to a date certain.
just on that one item though, right, Christine?
Yes.
Correct. Correct.
Then that's perfect.
And if you want to continue it to next Wednesday, you'll have your information before that.
You don't think you need more time than that?
We're also trying to work towards a CPC meeting, which would consider additional funding.
I mean,
Well, Christine, do you think you can? Do you think, to Greg's point, do you think you can do that by then?
Well, what additional information are you looking for, John?
Well, it's not just me. I think that we're in harmony, that we'd like to know what the restorer, their process, that we can do this and that it's what we expect for another 100 years, as it's been quoted.
But what additional information are you looking for to answer that question in a way different from what you have?
Something that the commission could issue a certificate of appropriateness for.
I'm sorry, it broke up.
For the commission to issue a certificate of appropriateness, it needs something to issue a certificate of appropriateness for.
Correct.
So the commission would want to have a motion to reconsider its vote on item 7, and ask for more information, to then continue the public hearing to next Wednesday at 6:30.
The Children's Museum can agree to restore the windows, and we can vote all 9 right now.
I also don't think we have,
don't have that
specs
information
right now. That's
Can't
not
do
part
that.
of what was submitted. We don't have the specs in hand. We can't actually do that.
Right.
So I agree with that. If that we can put that to a motion.
I'll make the motion that we continue with more information to follow and
I'll second it.
specifications.
Okay, so it's a motion to reconsider your vote for item 7. Is that the way to say this?
That's correct.
In order to request more information? To
Yes.
continue the public hearing to Wednesday, Wednesday, March 25th at 6:30.
Yeah, unless they would like more time.
I will do my best to get the information for that. I mean, we do have a CPA meeting, and I'm trying to move things along here as best I can. If I need extra time, I will ask you for it.
That's great. Thank you for being obliging to that.
We still have to vote on the motion.
We do.
I second that motion.
So we had Bishop.
I think Amy already did.
Bishop motioned.
I did.
Spencer seconded.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
To
Sorry.
reconsider the vote on item 7, to request more information, and continue the public hearing to Wednesday, March 25th at 6:30 p.m. I believe that is procedurally what would work in this situation.
Earlier,
So, okay, so.
Majesco, aye.
Hands high.
Spencer, I.
Bishop, aye.
Okay. And
I think that carries that. And this will satisfy, I think, all members of this commission having done due diligence. And we appreciate your patience, Greg and Christine.
okay. Next agenda item. Wayne, what number Washington Street is it? Demo request?
yes, it is
43?
41 Washington Street. We've got Stephanie Hoban, and I believe she is the rep. I'll promote her to panelist.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good evening. So, I am here on behalf of our client, Vieira Landscaping, and the owner is Vieira Realty Trust, I think. And what we would, for the property at 41 Washington Street. So based on assessor's records, the house was initially built in 1948. However, the effective year listed in the assessors is 1995. So I'm just, and what the applicant would like to do is demolish the existing building and all the outbuildings on the property to reconstruct a two-family house with an office and a garage. Currently, it's used with it's a single-family house with an office space, and then sheds are outbuildings. And if you hold on, let's see, I was going to share my pictures. I just have to, thought I had that right folder pulled up, but it's not. Come on. There we go. Okay. Not to share. I'm not good at the whole sharing screens.
Not good at sharing.
Nope, not good at sharing at all.
Since she was a kid.
Let me see if I can find what you submitted and share it from my end, if you'll bear with me.
Okay.
Motion review. Maybe it'll open, maybe it won't.
Oh, wait, I got it.
Oh, success. Okay, great.
Ah, look at that. All right.
Okay, so this is 41 Washington Street. As it is today, you can see the house. I mean, looking at it, you wouldn't know it's historic. They also, looking at the building department records in 2000 and, let's see, I have it up in the, sorry for 1 second. Part of the house was actually demolished in 2012, and an addition, and there was an addition added in the same time in I think it was permitted in 2012 and built in 2013. And as part of this project, actually, we'll be demolishing the house, rebuilding it. The use is going to stay exactly the same. And we're actually going to create a new septic system and actually give the site stormwater management, which it does not currently have.
Does anybody have any questions? I'd like to move approval of demolition.
It would be finding it not historically significant.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll
Although
second
a
it.
building built in 1948 is barely historical, just considering that's my birth year. So so we need a second.
From hands at that the structures at 41 Washington Street are not historically significant. Do we have a second on that?
That's my motion. We need a second.
Second.
Hallelujah.
Roll call vote.
Ventresco, aye.
Hands, aye.
Spencer, aye.
Bishop, aye.
Tim, you're muted. I see a thumbs up.
Good.
Okay. Okay, so Stephanie, the way demolition review works is you go through a series of steps. The first one is it historically significant? The commission is determining that it's not. Therefore, demolition can proceed. I will do a notice to yourself, I believe the owner and the building inspector. I'll hope to get that out tomorrow or Monday, and also make a note in the online permitting system So that
Excellent.
should be
I
the
mean-
end of your interaction with the Historical Commission. And as an aside, thank you for working as the very first person to work with the online application system.
Oh, good.
No problem. I like being the guinea pig.
Yes, we very much appreciate it. We have teased out several things that we still need to fix. So
Yep.
thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great
you.
night.
You too.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You too.
I'm here, I think, Wayne.
There you are.
We
I
can
know.
hear you.
Okay. I believe that's it. Yes?
I make a motion, we adjourn?
I'll second it.
Early, aye.
Francesco,
Hands
aye.
aye.
Spencer, I.
Bishop, aye.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Very good.
everybody. Great night.
Yeah.
Night, night.